Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So a little bit of a different video today in that I just wanted to show you what I do to clean my violin. Now, I made a video a few weeks ago now on how to clean the strings of your violin using some string cleaner, kind of one of those sort of lesser known tips that people don't really know about. They kind of just don't, well, you just don't really think about cleaning the strings, but the strings do sound a lot better. You can kind of revive them when you do clean them. So what about the violin and what do you use? Before we go any further, I know a lot of you guys are brand new to this channel, and don't forget to subscribe, put on the notification bell so that you know each time I'm releasing a video. But also, a lot of you guys have absolutely no idea that I have a magical 1 to 30 violin course sitting here right behind me. So I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about this fantastic course, because there's nothing else like it available on the internet, and then we will get straight on with the video. So my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate player. Basically, it's going to take you from playing like this to playing like this. This is the only interactive and all-encompassing course available online, and the closest you'll ever get to having a real teacher sitting there in the room with you. This course has been developed using my many years of experience as a violin teacher, performer, and actually a London College of Music examiner for one of the top exam boards in the UK. And this has given me a very unique and particular insight into teaching and how it should be taught. So this course takes you from a complete beginner, so you don't know anything about music. It will teach you how to hold the violin, how to hold the bow, where to place the violin, where to actually bow on the strings. So you don't even need to be a musician to learn to play via this course. You don't need to know anything about anything. Of course, if you do know something about music and you've played an instrument in the past, then that's obviously going to help you. But you don't need to know anything about music. And this course will take you through everything you need to know. So once you've learnt to hold the violin, it will start to teach you some open strings and then gradually adding in a few of the finger notes. After each set of 10 lessons, you will then move on to a songbook. Each songbook contains 10 well-known classical pieces that have been arranged for the exact level of the previous 10 lessons. So lessons 1 to 10, then you would go on to this songbook 1, and everything in this songbook 1, it will encompass everything that you've learned in lessons 1 to 10. There'll be nothing more, nothing less in there. Then you will move on to lessons 11 to 20. Once you've completed those, you will move on to songbook 2. Songbook 2 will be at the exact level that you will be at after you've got to lesson 20. After that, you'll move on to the next set of 10 lessons and then finish off with songbook 3. And the piece that I played at the beginning of this was from the songbook 3. The beauty of this whole course is that it's priced very, very fairly, and you don't have to commit to any weekly lessons. You can do them exactly when you want to. It's fully interactive, as I say, with the videos online and everything that you need in the books. You don't need any other materials if you don't want to. No other sheet music, And the best part about it is that the first 10 lessons are 100% absolutely free. I want you to try the first 10 lessons. I want you to see how I teach, see how you get on with it, see if you're actually playing, see if you actually learn. And if you do like the first 10 lessons, then you can go ahead and purchase the rest of the books that we've got here. So I stand by my statement that my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate player. Okay, so a lot of you I know out there have got some Fiddlerman violins. I've done a lot of reviews for the Fiddlerman and their violins on my channel over the last kind of couple of years or so. And those Fiddlerman violins, they're worth investing in. They're worth a lot of money. Those of you that don't have Fiddlerman violins, why not? But mostly, it doesn't make any difference. This video is still going to be for you because you still need to clean the violin. But I'm talking for those of you that maybe have violins that you have invested in. So violins that are worth several $100s, and you want to look after them. You want them to perform nice, you want them to be nice, you know, the same way as you'd clean a car, inside and outside. A violin shouldn't be any different. You change the strings when they're dead, you know, when the hair on the bow isn't performing and functioning very well, then you go and replace that. So it's the same thing. You just need to maintain anything you've got by cleaning it, but you kind of look at it and think that you're not really quite sure what to do. But you can see I've got a little build-up of rosin dust here. That's because I've recently just rosined my violin. I don't tend to rosin my violin all too often because with a good quality rosin that I use, I don't really need to. I maybe rosin it once a fortnight, and that's all I really need to do because the stuff I have is really good quality. It's the rosin I have. This is the rosin that I have because I know a lot of you are now going to ask. This is Sartori rosin. I'll see if I can find a link and put it underneath. But this is great rosin. It's French rosin. I just love it. It's quite expensive for a rosin, but it does last a very, very long time. I have 2 of these. I have one in my acoustic case and one in my electric violin case. But as I say, it does last a really, really long time. It doesn't cause any stickiness, doesn't cause a lot of dust residue like a lot of them do. It doesn't cause any scratch. It's just a really nice rosin. But anyway, we're not here for the rosin. So for those of you that do have a nice, good quality violin that you want to look after, how do you kind of give the violin a deep clean? So you do not want to be using anything like furniture polish. You can use those on kind of really cheap violins if you want, but anyway, what I recommend you use is something like this, and this is Tripoli Powder. Now, I'll put some links to where you can buy this directly underneath. There are a few places, and it's not very expensive at all to buy, but this is what the best violin luthiers use to clean the violins with. So when you mix it with a little bit of oil, I personally just use extra virgin olive oil. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a good quality olive oil. I mix a little bit of this powder with some good quality olive oil, and when it does that, it's so finely milled, but it turns into a very, very, very slight abrasive. And I know that word sounds a little bit scary, but because it's so finely milled, as it's turning into an abrasive, it actually gives the wood a very light, gentle polish or a kind of buff. So it is cleaning it, but it's also buffing and polishing at the same time. So you're not going to ruin your violin by any stretch of the imagination. I just wouldn't bother to use this on the really cheap violins. You know, I'm talking like less than $100 that are just thickly coated with kind of that really thick glossy varnish that you get, because you're not actually going to be, you know, who knows what's underneath them, but you want to be buffing wood, which is why this works quite well on a hand varnished violin, because you're not actually really going to be taking away any of the varnish, you're just going to be cleaning the violin. So Tripoli Powder, I'll put links underneath. That's the best thing to use to clean your violin. You don't want to be using anything like a wet cloth, so don't just take one of these and go and wet it at the kitchen sink and start cleaning your violin. Wood and water don't really kind of mix so well. If anything, you just want to take a dry cloth, and I mean, taking a dry cloth on the back of this isn't going to do anything, because there's nothing abrasive on there, and there's no cleaning agents on there. But you can take the dry cloth and just kind of take away the rosin. So I know there's some on the fingerboard there, but now I've just, don't know if you can see that, but now I've just taken away the rosin underneath here, so it's just not sitting on the wood kind of going really gunky and everything. So the ideal thing would be to do is to take everything off the violin. So you take the tailpiece, the chin rest off, the tailpiece, the bridge. You'd take all the strings off, you'd take everything off, and you would give it a good clean. I'm not going to do that, and I don't like doing that. I mean, God forbid, should the sound post inside fall out, I just don't have the equipment skill or know how to put that back in. So if I was taking this to a violin luthier to give it its kind of, to give it an MOT or a once over, they would have everything off and they would give it a good clean for me. And of course, if the sound post did happen to fall out, they would put the sound post back in. They would probably move it. They would probably find somewhere to move it anyway, just, because it's something that they'd want to tweak as part of a kind of MOT maintenance of the violin. So I would advise that you do not take everything off. I know it is really, really tempting to take that bridge off and kind of clean underneath it, but guys, I wouldn't personally do that. I just don't feel it's necessary. I feel like the risks kind of outweigh the benefits, because I've got a wedding 3 days from filming this video. So if I take this bridge off for the video and decide to clean it all with Tripoli powder, which would just be amazing, and my sound post fell out, then I'm in quite a bit of trouble. I'm going to have to source another violin from somewhere, and I don't really want to be doing that 3 days before I've booked to play at somebody's wedding. So I would advise that you just leave everything as it is. If you want to take anything off, then you can go ahead and take the chin rest off if that's what you want to do. Just be careful that you just put it back in the right place. But I don't see any reason why you can't take the chin rest on and off. That's absolutely fine. But leave everything else on. Don't take any of the strings off. Don't remove the tailpiece. Just that's enough. If you want to have a more thorough job and you want everything taken off, then take it to a violin luthier and pay the money, and they'll give it a good and thorough clean for you. And should anything happen with the sound post, then of course they'll just kind of pop it back in. Nobody's any of the wiser. But I just recommend that you wouldn't just do that yourself, just because you're not going to be able to fix the problem. So it's very easy. So I'm just going to show you how to do this on just a little bit of my violin, and I will just do the rest off camera. But what you need is that, as I showed you, so you need a little bit of Tripoli powder in a bowl and a little bit of good quality extra virgin olive oil or something like that, linseed oil. As long as it's really, really good quality oil, honestly, it doesn't matter. Just don't be using anything like vegetable oil, sunflower oil, sesame. So just use something just like an extra virgin olive oil, just something like that. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. All you're going to do then is just take one of these cloths on your finger, and I'm just going to dip it into a bit of the oil. Nothing fancy. I've just got a bit of oil on here, and then I'm going to dip into the powder, just so I've got a little bit of powder on here, as you can see there. Then all I'm going to do, and I'm just going to show you on the back of the violin, is just to rub it on the back of the violin, just in kind of circular movements like this. And that kind of really is it. What you would then do is take a clean bit of cloth and just buff it over. Just kind of take off the residue. You'll kind of see it coming out on the cloth there, which is fine because that's just the Tripoli powder mixing in with the oil. And then I'm going to take another clean part of the cloth. You could probably do the whole of the back section with what I've done there, but I'm just, for the purpose of the video, I've not. So take another clean part of the cloth and just rub it again, just to get the final kind of bits out. And then, as you can see, there isn't really, there's nothing really on that now. So I know that it is all gone, and all the oil is gone. You don't want any oil left on the violin. And that's it really. You're not going to see any difference on something like my violin, because my violin is hand varnished. So it could be that even I haven't had this restored in a very, very long time. So it could just be that, that there's not an awful lot of varnish left on here anyway. But that's it. That's literally all you need to do to clean the violin, and that will be enough to kind of just buff any of the little nasties out of the wood and that kind of thing. It will probably just feel a little bit smoother, might look a little bit different as well, but you'll know that it's just cleaner and the wood is just going to be a lot brighter. So that's how you clean the violin. If you want to do a proper job or a professional job with Tripoli powder, I would just make sure to do it so that you've got a towel or something covering the floor, because you don't want powder and oil going around all over the place. And Tripoli powder, you just don't want to be breathing in all of that. So as you're kind of dipping it in and you're putting it on, or you're getting it out of the bag and you're decanting it into a little bowl, just be careful that the powder's not kind of buffing up anywhere, because you don't really want that going in the lungs. So just be careful with that. You probably only need a teaspoon, if that, of Tripoli powder. I've probably got, in those little cups, I've probably got way more Tripoli powder than I need. But there is no ratio for oil to Tripoli powder, just judge it. But the powder will go a very long way, and I know when you buy it, you buy a substantial amount. I don't really clean that often, but I don't know how much is in this bag, but I do have a lot of powder in this bag, and even the powder that I put in the little bowl there is way more than I need for the violin. So it's rolled up inside another bag here. So I mean that's plenty of powder to last me, my entire lifetime. So just be careful as you are decanting that, because you don't want the powder kind of buffing out all over the place. So there we go, just a very super quick video to show you how to professionally clean your violin with Tripoli powder. I will put links underneath this video, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.